As most of you know, today is going to focus on the service offerings Shorts provides for group travel, as well as best practices, specifically with college athletics in mind. Most colleges and universities have heard of Shorts by working with us for postseason championship travel. Since becoming the exclusive travel provider for the NCAA in 2003, Shorts has partnered with over 100 collegiate athletic departments to handle their regular season travel. We move over 14,000 teams to 5,000 competitions annually. So you know we can handle your commercial air, but what about the additional program add-ons for group travel? That's what we're here to show you today. Some of you may be here as a refresher. Some may already use one of our services, and maybe you're looking to learn more about another. And others may know nothing at all about any of our offerings or products for groups. And that's perfectly fine, no matter what your intention is or how strong your relationship is with Shorts. I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to join. So leading our session, we have the dream team in place. Marcus Kelly is here. He's I know this is corny, but like I said, we want to keep this informal. So he's the wide receiver for STM Charters, our air charters division. Julie Gordon, the point guard of STM Hotels, our division which handles all group hotels, meetings, and events. And Nick Gillen, our ace server, is the director of STM Ground, our charter bus division. So with that, going to hand it over to Julie Gordon to kick things off.
Thank you so much, Kayla. I love seeing myself as a basketball player. So thank you all again for joining us today. I wanted to just introduce what it is to be those additional 3 services that Kayla referenced, these add-on services. We really are experts in the field that we support. We lean on Shorts as our innovator to help us drive that innovation and really achieve what it is that we do for all of you. These additional capabilities are meant to enhance your travelers' experiences. Our service, alongside our expertise, really does reward everyone with savings of time and of money, of limited risk, reduced stress, and hopefully overall just a better experience for those travelers. We're going to talk to you today about booking windows, about savings opportunities, advice, maybe some best practices, maybe some lessons learned, and hopefully be able to engage in just a discussion and an understanding around how the industry is shifting in all the areas that we support and how we can help support all of you and your travelers even better than we are today. So I'm going to ask that Marcus kick us off. It's charter.
Thank you, Julie. My name is Marcus Kelly, and I am with STM Charters, and I have been part of the team for the past 5 years. A little bit on the background of STM Charters is we were formed about 10 years ago, and we have seen huge growth year over year, and that is something we are forecasting to definitely continue. We currently have exclusive partnerships with 6 carriers that are listed on this next slide here, and they give us the ability to serve all of you coast to coast, anywhere, anytime. We are capable of fulfilling just about any request, whether it's 2 coaches that want to go on a recruiting trip or 480 passengers that include the team, staff, band, and support that want to go to a football bowl game. So we're really capable of just about anything. To give you an idea on the volume, in 2016, we had fulfilled over 850 charters for 143 of our athletic clients. So we move a serious amount of athletes. But let's dive into why I'm here, and that's to talk about the air charter industry and the trends that are shaping the way teams are traveling. To start off, let's talk about aircraft. Part of my job is traveling all around the U.S. to have meetings with athletic directors, CFOs, business managers, and kind of educate them on what's going on in the industry and answer any questions they have. And one misconception that comes up continuously is that turboprops are prone to mechanicals and are less safe than the jets, and that's just simply not true. I'd say turboprops are an excellent option for schools that are looking for the most cost-effective way to charter, or if commercial options just aren't turning up in a fashion that is doable for your staff. So if that conversation ever comes up, definitely reach out and see exactly how we can help you with a turboprop. Next, let's talk about FBOs, which are essentially private terminals. When your team shows up to the airport, they will not be going to the regular terminal that you would if you were flying commercial. You will go to a different spot on the airport property, which is called the FBO, and that is where your team will begin the boarding process. You won't have to mess around with any of that fun TSA stuff like pat downs or them confiscating your shampoos or conditioners because it exceeds a certain fluid ounce limit. You can take all that stuff on your charters with you, and so that's definitely one of the aspects that all the passengers really enjoy. A fun request that comes up quite often for bowl season is bringing their live mascots on board with them. We've actually had the opportunity to serve the University of Auburn Warhawk and the University of Georgia Bulldog as special passengers on our charters. So definitely reach out and see how we can help you accommodate those types of special needs. Next, chartering allows you to fly directly to your destination. This is extremely beneficial for teams located in remote areas or that travel to remote areas often. Chartering eliminates connections and the worry of losing your bags and the hustle and bustle of getting from one plane to the next. So definitely more peace of mind on that aspect. Huge one is getting student athletes back to the classroom. Say your basketball team has a night game and they're not going to be done with the game till 10:30 at night and then get to the airport at 11:30 at night. Chances are commercial service is not going to be able to service you guys. So chartering allows you to kind of move on your own time, and you will have an aircraft waiting for you at the airport, ready to take you home so your student athletes can get to bed and joyfully attend class the next morning. And the last, but I definitely say this is the biggest, is safety and risk management, which I could speak on for about 20 minutes, but I'll keep this real short. In the contracting process, you really want to make sure you have the liability insurance coverage nailed down to an amount that your university is comfortable with. Find out what your carrier find out what your carrier's Argus rating is. Also, how many aircraft are in their fleet. It's very important to have a carrier that has at least 3 aircraft that can fulfill your needs if the first aircraft cannot finish the mission. And then also find out what their contingency plan is if things do not go according to your schedule. But all in all, chartering is a great way to be efficient with your time and allow your team and staff to travel in a comfortable manner, but also so they're well rested for their upcoming game and to be in class the next day. Thank you for your time, and I'll be handing this over to Julia, who will be going in depth on the hotel side of things.
Thanks, Marcus. So I'm back. I want to talk specifically about hotels. As I'm sure most of you are aware, hotels are changing considerably every day. Mainly the mega mergers and acquisitions that are taking hold of the industry are having a big impact, not just on the people that work there, the processes that they manage, but certainly the loyalty programs that are currently evolving. And most importantly, I think it's the data interpretation that we are hopefully leaning on to provide us with the ultimate intelligence to support the hotels or to support our clients. You'll see on the slide that we have in front of you that our team last year supported about 850 contracts last year, and it's really allowed us a lot of information on how the different hotel brands and chains manage their contracts. One of the things that I think is most valuable when securing or looking at options is ensuring that those contractual obligations that you have or your school has set forth are understood and known at the beginning of the process. The strategic sourcing that our team manages is really about ensuring that the right properties are engaged in the search, and that when you are reviewing the results, you are really looking at an apples to apples comparison Rates, dates, and space are kind of the lingo for the industry. And when you're comparing a rate against another rate, it's really important to consider all the other concessions that hotels put in front of you. One big thing is high-speed internet access. Every hotel offers it now, pretty much, they include it. But I think to understand where it is accessible and how strong of that signal is accessible to you is really important. There are many hotels now that are providing free internet access for you when you check in, but it's not the top level, and therefore it's not always reliable. In addition, there are times we've experienced where the contract might state you have complimentary access, but the hotel is not able to provide that. So managing those contracts, ensuring that what is promised or what is negotiated is actually met is another area that's really important. I learned many, many years ago that the savings that are realized with hotel experiences, whether it's room blocks and meetings or one or the other, is really realized when you're on site. So 40% of the savings that can be realized are realized when you're on site, which means that they're not necessarily meeting the obligations of the contract and the promises that were made. And it's really important that someone in our position or your position is keeping an eye on what is being delivered against what was actually promised. Another real important thing, as I mentioned earlier, is that data interpretation, having the information that you need to make good choices and educated choices, and then using that information as a leverage point when going into negotiations. A real important thing to realize is that when you go to the same property again and again and again, you might be lucky enough to have that same salesperson, but a lot of times you have turnover, and how we manage the search and making sure that you're getting the best pricing and the best concessions year over year or season over season is really important. So shopping is just as important in that first year as it would be in that fifth year with that property. As Marcus had mentioned, risk mitigation is key. I too could talk about it for many, many hours, but I think what's most important is to realize that, hotels definitely have your best interest at heart. But the way that you are managing the language within the contracts and the expectations, you're usually doing it with people who aren't quite as experienced in hotel language. And to be able to lean on someone who does know it, Marriott's or Hilton's, Starwood's, they all have very strong contract language, but they tend to lean on maybe one-pagers for those quick blocks and may not include other terms and conditions that probably you're in your best interest. So certainly want to make sure you're looking at that. One of the things that we really can offer is those experienced specialists that are really dedicated to doing this all day, every day, allowing other people to focus on their day jobs. As you probably all know, spending a lot of time with hotels and talking back and forth with hotels, negotiating, or just trying to get information back from them is challenging. So making sure you put it in front of them before you sign a contract is really probably the most valuable way to align your goals and expectations with that of your hotels. With that, I'm going to pass this on to Nick, who will talk to you about buses.
Thank you, Julie. I have to admit, when Kayla came at me with the opportunity to talk to a captive audience on buses for 5 minutes without any interruption, I got really excited. So now that I've got you all prisoner, I'm going to walk you through start to finish on the ideal charter bus booking procedure for your sports teams. Let's start with the booking window. This is very important in ground transportation. I prefer a booking window of at least 2 months, and we're starting to see the better rates come in at 3 to 4 months out. So as soon as schedules come out, let's start taking a look at booking your buses along with your flights and your hotels. You're going to save some money there. Another thing to take a look at when it comes down to charter buses is the amenities and the bus size. Does your soccer team who travels with 23 passengers really need a full-size bus? Does the team that's taking a transfer from the airport to the hotel and it's a 15-minute ride, do they really need satellite TV and Wi-Fi? Maybe not. We could save some money on some of that stuff. So let's take a look at amenities and bus size as well. Hopefully, your teams are also looking at multiple bids. Not just 1 or 2 different vendors, but 3 to 5 different vendors would be ideal. At the very minimum, 3 different options. Chances are if they've been using the same company year in and year out, their rates have increased dramatically over the years. So let's throw some different vendors into the mix and see what comes of it. When you are looking at different vendors, it's important to keep the FMCSA and DOT websites at hand so you know that everyone is in good standing with both the FMCSA and DOT. Check the company's websites, look at pictures, ask the new companies for references, find out what other teams they've been transporting and what those teams have to say about them. When it comes down to booking, and you finally get the paperwork that says you're confirmed, double check the paperwork. The last thing you want is to get some paperwork back, file it away, and then find out when it comes time to your trip that they've got the wrong month, the wrong dates in there. It happens more often than you think. About a month prior to travel, let's call this company again, make sure they've got you in the books, see what they need, when they need it. Odds are that these companies are reaching out to you before you're reaching out to them. But it's good to check in about a month prior. Avoid prepayment at all costs. It'll give you a little bit of leverage should something happen during the trip. It gives you an opportunity to say, hey, listen, we run through a PO process, or we're going to be putting this on a card, and we'll go over this in a bit down the road, but we might want to include a gratuity. So try to avoid prepayment so you've got a little bit of leverage. Before travel, tell your teams you need itineraries as soon as possible. The way most drivers are assigned is that the itinerary rolls in from a team, and the very best drivers in that group, the most awarded drivers, get their pick of the itineraries first. So if an itinerary for your school comes in early, chances are you're going to get the best driver on the lot. If you're the last one to get your itinerary in, you probably will be getting one of the drivers that maybe is a part-timer or maybe just started. We want to avoid getting them in late so that we get our best drivers. Collect 24-hour info in advance. And when I say 24-hour info, I don't mean an answering service number. What I mean is get the name and cell phone number of someone who is going to be on duty and available to your team while they're on the road. If you get an answering service number, chances are you'll be going back and forth with an answering service. We'll be going back and forth with the dispatcher. It wastes a lot of time, especially if you need something right then and there. And then once the trip's traveled and everything went well, you might want to consider driver gratuity. These drivers talk, and sometimes school can get a reputation for not being very generous with the drivers. Gratuity is, of course, optional, but if the driver's done a good job, figure out a way to take care of them, whether it be a couple dollars after the gig is over with, or maybe invite them, pay for a meal or something, because the meals do come out of the driver's pockets, or maybe give them some team gear, but give them something to show them that you appreciate them so that the word gets passed along in the organization that, you're a solid team. They want to work with you. Then lastly, pay your bill. You don't want to be getting an email a couple months down the road saying, hey, we had some overtime on that last trip you did with us. This is the revised statement. It really messes with budgets. So last thing you want to do is, after you've confirmed everything went well, driver's been taken care of, get the bill paid, over and done with. So with that, I will pass it back to Julie.
Thank you. So what I'd like to do is just showcase to you how easy it is to engage shorts in all areas of your travel. So forgive me, I'm going to just do a quick sales opportunity. But what I really want to showcase to you is how easy it is to engage us in these three arenas in addition to your air needs if you choose to go commercial. I created a little video, so you can go ahead and hit play. And within the portal, those of you who use it, you have to just go to book a trip and select your group travel request form. One of the benefits of this is it keeps you organized. You can see here all of the past trips that were submitted. You will only have visibility to those trips that you manage, and you'll see when you submitted it. So if you forgot a trip, you can put it back in there. Another thing I want to show you is once you create a new one, it will automatically populate your information. So all you really need to do is select your sport and then add your phone number in there. An important thing that I really wanted to highlight for all of you is that centralizing your trips and thinking about all aspects of that trip at one time does make it easier. Both Marcus and Nick spoke to this, as I would as well. The sooner we can get in front of the hotels or the charter air flights or planes or certainly the bus companies, you just are at a greater advantage from every aspect, the best service to the best product. In addition to pricing. So the first step you have is airlines. Again, you can select your commercial air or you can select your charter. Go ahead.
We're gonna be putting in your departure airport and then the airport you're gonna arrive at. So make sure you have that. That's obviously the most important part. The departure date is important as well, but for the time, that's kind of just giving us an idea of what you guys are expecting for departure time, and there's definitely a sliding scale for that one. So don't feel like this has to be on point. We definitely have some flexibility with that. So you do the same thing for the return date and time. And in the special request area, you want to make sure and list, any weird size trunks you guys may have, so that we can definitely let you know ahead of time if we can accommodate that trunk, or you're gonna have to find another way to get it over there. So and also make sure to put down there any special requests, whether it's dietary needs, catering, or anything like that. We'd be happy to kind of facilitate all those arrangements.
So a thing I wanted to also mention is this is the way you get in touch with us. And as Marcus said, you can certainly provide us as much information as you know, but at the same time, it's really just meant to hold the space so that you can get in touch with the right people and initiate the process at the right time. So as soon as you get your schedules or you know what you need, you would go ahead and you can submit something so that you've got somebody else kind of who's got your back, making sure that they're doing what they need to do on their end. Sometimes we'll say there's no rush, and sometimes we'll say we got to hold the rooms. I know the city is selling out, or I know that there's not a lot of equipment available for you. Let's get this going. So hotels is very similar, just real simple, basic. How many rooms do you need? Where do you need to go? And what's your check-in and checkout date? Again, this is an opportunity for us to align what your air needs are against your ground transportation, against your hotel, and making sure that they're all connected. So this is another good time for you to do a nice checks and balances. So in addition to providing hotel requirements, you now can put your ground transportation together. Go ahead.
And then, I'll get this request along with the Julie will get the hotel, and Marcus will get the air charter, and then I will see that you also need a bus. The information that you need to send when you're putting in an initial request for a bus is very, very limited. We don't even need flight times for the initial request, because what I'll do when I see this is put together a skeleton itinerary that I'll send back to the person who put this together to make sure that it jives with what they were thinking. For example, as we see here, the driver doesn't need to stay with the team. So I'll estimate 8 hours day 1, 10 hours day 2, airport transfer out day 3. And if the person putting together the request agrees with that, then that's how we'll get the initial bids out. So charter bus requests are pretty easy, and we'll do all the work on our end so that your team contacts or team travel managers aren't putting it all together on theirs.
Thanks. So in addition to submitting this in, you'll see there's a quick summary that provides to you the information that you just submitted, just to double check your work. Make sure the days and the months and the years all match up. In addition to that, as Nick mentioned, we will each receive a notification. So as soon as you submit it, there's an automated notification that comes to all of the people who need to be contacted, whether it's charter and hotel, or charter, hotel, and bus, or just bus. Will be notified of it in just a very simple email, and then you'll hear from each one of us. We've agreed that the best way to support our customers at this stage of the game and to ensure that you've got an expert working with you is to provide you that qualification. For those of you who utilize the trips page, you will see that we can then summarize all of the information for you. So again, it's readily available. And again, we just want you to have access and visibility to the information that you have submitted, to know that your trips have been taken care of by somebody and that someone's on it. And again, so you have a place to go to check it and see that it's been done, or where are we at in the process. Again, just helping to streamline that process for you. And that's pretty much how simple it is to get a hold of us.
Awesome. Thanks, Julie. And we have about 5 minutes left. We've already had a couple questions come through. And Julie, I'm going to address this one to you since you just kind of gave the demonstration. But this viewer asked if there is a business office view of the account where they would see all team travel requests from all sports and coaches.
Yes, the answer is a very simple yes. In fact, what I really wanted to tell all of you is that it was really people like you who provided us feedback on what they needed. And one of the things that we've heard over and over again is to have that visibility to the trips. So what I referenced on the trips page is that you can see all the different trips that have been invoiced, as well as all of the hotel blocks or charters that you have booked. For the purposes of seeing where you're at. There are past trips that you can reference as well as upcoming trips that you can reference. From a billing standpoint, again, another piece of feedback that came back from some of you was that you wanted to be able to reconcile your bills as they came in and be able to compare those invoices or those charges against what's on those books. So I know I can speak specifically to group hotels as an example, but the group hotel trips page does allow for the person who's responsible for reconciling to compare the hotel name against the amount and then see which sport it was for, what date it was, and then they can go ahead and reference that correct coach or director of ops to ensure that the price point is accurate before they reconcile it and prove it. Does that answer the question for whomever asked it?
Yes, it does. I believe it does.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question. This one will be for Nick. Nick, how do you handle driver gratuity?
Good question. Every school does it differently. Some schools prefer to give the driver cash in person, which is what I'm all in favor for if you are going to tip your driver. If you want to end it in the bill at the end, some companies do take out taxes on gratuity. If you're using a credit card to pay the company, then of course there's the percentage that comes out of credit card fees. What I would avoid doing for gratuity, if at all possible, is inviting your driver to meals if you're not familiar with drivers, because they can get a little too personal, too comfortable with you if you're bringing them into a meal situation. But anything just to show that, hey, we appreciate you breaking their back for us, if they have in fact broken their back for you, would be appreciated.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Julie, I'm going to jump back to you. We have a question that came through that asked how long past trips stay on the portal for access.
I am not 100% certain how long it stays. I'm going to want to follow up with you on that, but I'm pretty sure it's indefinite until we take it out. So, in fact, I was just asked to remove our 2016 trips and 15 trips. So let me clarify the answer for you, and we'll put it back so everyone knows it. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure it's pretty long. And if there is a specific request from a billing group for whoever uses it, I know that we can certainly maintain that. The answer I got was that we believe they're archived for 3 years, at least 3 years.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, the portal, it is our proprietary tool. So the information within the tool is, of course, customizable. We're able to make changes as seen fit to our clients. All right, and this looks like the last question that we are able to handle. We can address any other questions via email after the fact. I'm going to send this to you as well, Julie. How are the bills managed? Do they pay shorts and handle payment with hotel, bus, etc., or do they pay the vendors directly?
That is a great question. And again, we really do provide customized solutions for our customers, so it's really up to them. We manage, in the hotel space, we've managed it both ways. We can support the payment for you and it's part of the contract, but more than likely, people prefer to have the payment go through their individual. We will manage the contractual obligations, we'll manage through the payment. Nick, feel free to jump in, I'm pretty sure he does the same. But I find that in order for the schools to manage their budgets appropriately, they want to have that direct, again, invoicing and process and reconciliation process for it. Again, we're flexible, but that's typically what people do. Marcus, do you want to speak to charter?
We are actually short on time, so I'm going to cut you off there. Sorry, but Julie, I do think that addressed that, so thank you. And that's it for our session today. So thank you all for joining. Before we conclude, here are the details for our travel talk next month. The topic is Embracing Change and Innovation in Travel. It'll be led by our CEO, David Lecomte. That's on May 30th at 12 noon Central Time. You can sign up. Our link is at the bottom here. That's where we're going to be posting. Someone had asked about our slide deck. That'll be posted here right after the session, shortstravelmanagement.com/happenings. Otherwise, we'll send out a thank you tomorrow, and that will include the slide deck as well. So that's all we've got. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions for any of our experts, you can reach us at sales@shortstravel.com, and then you will get your answers question that we weren't able to get to today. Or if you want to request a quote or just want any more information, feel free to reach out that way. A special thank you to our experts, our dream team, Marcus, Julie, and Nick, for leading our travel talk. And thanks to everyone for joining. We hope to have you back next month. Thanks.